Today we got to talk about Emeka Egbuka's Final Four list. And all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, we need to talk about 5-star wide receiver and the number 1 wide receiver, according to the 247 Sports Composite in the 2021 class, Emeka Egbuka and his list. 190 pounds, 6'1", 4.4 speed, legitimate interest to play baseball as well as football at the college level, and that might figure into his decision, as the Final Four list of schools he is considering includes Clemson, Ohio State, Washington, and Oklahoma. Now, a couple of things to stand out here that I thought was interesting to point out in my research of just what these programs could offer a kiddo like Egbuka. And the first thing is he's from Steilacoom, Washington, which is 52 minutes from the University of Washington. So you can see how the home state team might have a leg up. Also, perhaps have the longest relationship with Egbuka of any of these 4 schools. Jimmy Lake has been on him from jump. And when he took over the job, one of the first things he did was bring Emeka Egbuka on campus in January. But when you take a look at their NFL draft success to wide receiver, comes up a little bit short, right? We're talking about 2 first-round draft picks in the history of the school at wide receiver, and not a whole hell of a lot in the last 5 years. Just 2, John Ross, first-round pick, and Dante Pettis. You're also going to have to deal with, you didn't have the best season last year. It's going to be Jimmy Lake's first year. You're going to want to see what that looks like. And it ain't exactly like Washington is the power in the Pac-12 anymore. Even after they made the college football playoff 2016, it's just different now. You know that Sam Heward is in the boat and you understand what kind of offense you could be running, but it would very much be Emeka Egbuka and company on that offense, at least to start, and you would be relying on Jimmy Lake and his defense to try to help you out. Now, the next squad I think you really have to entertain is Clemson, right? They're also the farthest away of any of these schools, right? And yet Dabo Swinney, Brent Venables, Tony Elliott have done nothing but win. I mean, we're talking about a college football playoff appearance in each of the past 5 years and basically renting a room in the national final game and then 2 national championships in the past 4 years. You also know who the heir apparent to Trevor Lawrence is in true freshman DJ Uiagalelei, and you understand that all they've done is win. 29-1 over the past 2 years. It's real difficult to say that there isn't a better program outside of perhaps Alabama than when you're talking about the past 5 years and who's been successful, and Alabama ain't on the list. Tells you a lot. Now, also add into there that Clemson has a pretty good baseball team, and if Dabo Swinney would be willing to let DJ Uiagalelei play baseball, perhaps he would let Emeka as well. You do know that they're also sincere about their recruitment of him because their recruiting policy is one of which, we only offer the kids that we really want, which is another reason why when you commit to us, we commit to you, and we don't want to see you take any more visits. So I'm excited to see how this goes, but I think it's an uphill battle. Still, you have to entertain Clemson when you know that DeAndre Hopkins, all-pro wide receiver first-round draft selection, Sammy Watkins Jr., and then you go Mike Williams, and you can keep going on when you talk about recent draft success, and with starting really Chauncey Stuckey for Dabo Swinney and Clemson in the Dabo Swinney era. Next on this list, Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma has been an absolute tear when it comes to getting offensive players, particularly wide receivers and quarterbacks drafted. Going back to 2015, an OU wide receiver has been drafted in each of the successive years. Sterling Shepard, Heisman finalist and Biletnikoff Award winner D.D. Westbrook. Marquise Brown went to the Ravens in 2018. CeeDee Lamb went to my Dallas Cowboys in 2020. Now, I'm also really fascinated by, just the amount of success Dennis Simmons has had, both on the recruiting trail and in the development of his wide receivers. Really, take a look at what he's been able to do with some of the players that they brought in, and you'll see he's been overdeveloping them. And now with a couple of 5-stars in the bag, and then you're adding blue chip 4-star Plant City Raider Mario Williams to this really deep wide receiving core. If he signs, we all know that still has to happen. You can understand why it would be enticing for some to go to Oklahoma. While you won't be able to argue that they're winning national championships, you cannot argue that they made all 3 of the last college football playoffs and 4 of the last 5. They've also won 5 straight Big 12 championships, so you understand that it is the class team in the conference, unlike, say, Washington, right? But Lincoln Riley's also going to get you a great quarterback because Egbuka would be a true freshman in Spencer Rattler's draft-eligible year, a year in which we all expect Oklahoma to compete for the 2021 national championship, quite honestly. So really good look there if you're Lincoln Riley. But the leader in the clubhouse got to be Ohio State. 91% of the 11 crystal balls in have picked Ohio State as the landing spot for Egbuka. They have been heavily pursuing him for over a year. Brian Hartline getting the offer in there and then him taking an unofficial visit in March of last year. They're already recruiting at a historically awesome level for this 2021 class, trying to challenge for the best recruiting class of all time statistically. They got to reach a number of 324.63. They need a 5-star and another 5-star in Emeka Egbuka and probably JT Tuimoloau to get a shot at that. But both of those kids coming out of the state of Washington, you really think that it's Ohio State's to lose here, but if you're taking a look at recent draft success, Ohio State ain't put a first-round wide receiver in the draft since 2007 when they did it twice, Ted Ginn Jr., and then the 32nd pick, Anthony Gonzalez. Since then, they haven't. But if you're looking at success in the NFL, you could make an argument that the NFL seems to value Ohio State wide receivers. Curtis Samuel going to the Carolina Panthers, and of course Michael Thomas with New Orleans and the Saints. It's still interesting, right? Because KJ Hill I thought was going to be up around the 3rd round, 2nd round. He drops to the 7th round this year. Paris Campbell, we all know that Indianapolis really liked him. They were able to get him for what I thought was a cheaper draft value. So you understand that they can produce dudes and develop guys, right? We understand that Garrett Wilson is going to be next, and he would be the second number 1 wide receiver to commit to play at Ohio State in as many years, with Julian Fleming doing it last year. And we all expect Julian to be really great in this 2020 season, along with Justin Fields, who is a Heisman Trophy candidate and perhaps could challenge Trevor Lawrence as the first quarterback taken off the board in the 2021 NFL Draft. The other part about this that I find interesting is Egbuka has said, I want to enroll in January. That's the plan. And I want to take all of my officials. Now, he was going to take some unofficials and officials this spring. Unofficials to Clemson, unofficial probably back to Ohio State, and of course to Washington again. But he was going to take an official for the spring game to Oklahoma when that got thwarted. That's a Trevion Henderson was going to take an official to Oklahoma because unlike Dabo Swinney and Clemson, Lincoln Riley does put a lot of emphasis on the spring game and does try to bring in some star recruits for that game. But Egbuka says he's planning to take officials to all 4 of those schools before he makes a decision. So expect his decision to be quite delayed. But in the meantime, you understand what you're getting, right? A tremendous awareness at the wide receiver position, blazing speed, 4.42 coming out of high school, tremendous hands in the air, can elevate with the best of them, and a top 10 247 sports composite recruit. I think the comp for him as a recruit probably be Brew McCoy, right, from 2019, who was rated an athlete, but we know what kind of a wide receiver he could be. And I think Brandon Huffman's comp for him at the NFL level as Juju Smith-Schuster also resonates with so many because Egbuka can just change the way that a game is going just by catching the football and showing what he does with it. Right now in college football, you might say Jalen Waddle is perhaps the closest thing to what Egbuka can be. He can return kicks for you, he can return punts for you, he can take short routes to the house, and he can stretch the field for you. I really am interested to see who else can actually lure him away because I think Ohio State is the spot right now, especially if you're just paying attention to how everything is going. But maybe Clemson makes a play in November like they did last year for Justin Flo. It didn't work, they didn't win Justin Flo, but it could work because they're willing to shell out for their official visiting weekends in October and November to get these kids on campus and show them what Clemson is about. Same thing with Oklahoma. I think that if Dennis Simmons can actually get through to him, you can understand what kind of a prospect he can be, and he'd be a first rounder, I believe, at all 4 of these spots, but some places have a better track record than others, and Oklahoma is right there basically with Clemson, if you really want to get into it, in the past 5 to 10 years. But really in the past 3 years, it's only been Oklahoma of these 4, right? So if you're an OU fan, you feel good about making this Final Four list. If you're an Ohio State fan, you're going, cool, suckers finished 3rd and 4th and whatnot. And if you are Washington, you're going, hometown kid. We got to win the hometown kid. Not unlike Kendall Daniels for Oklahoma, you got to win the hometown kid. All right. What else would I want to add in there? Oh, just that he had really good things to say about the assistants at all 4 of the schools. I know that that's not really specific, but having something to say about who is recruiting you is always a big deal. He name-dropped Brian Hartline. He name-dropped Dennis Simmons to Brandon Huffman in his piece on 247 Sports. You should go check it out. All right, that is it for me. Deuces.